Good morning.
Good morning.
There we go.
Hi, Martin.
Hello.
Bill, you out in the tractor?
No, I'm looking at you.
You can do that from your tractor. Congratulations, Tammy. I hear you're a grandfather.
suppose.
Yep, she's as good looking as her grandfather.
That kind of sucks for her, eh?
I'll have to send you a picture.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
That your
it's all
first
good.
one?
Yep.
Sam, is that
my
your
kids
first
are,
grandchild?
yeah, my kids are 36 and 38.
Well, never too late. Never.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We
Good
got
morning,
some-
Bob.
We had some technical issues, but I think we got them sorted out now. So just checking to see who all is here. All right, well, I guess if everyone's ready, we'll call the meeting to order, and I'll remind everyone that we are being hopefully sent out. So we'll ask you to watch your P's and Q's. And with that, we'll start out with a moment of reflection. I have a motion that the council agenda for April 6, 2021 be approved as circulated. Moved by Sue, second by Sam. All those in favor? Carried. And I think what we will do, if anyone is opposed to any of the motions, please let me know because I might miss your hand, so, or not going up. So with that, remind everyone of the declaration of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. I do not see anything. We don't have a report of closed session. So consent agenda, would anyone like to see anything discussed or removed from that long list? Deputy Mayor Aitchison.
I don't want to pull, but I wouldn't mind having just a quick chat about the thing from our recycling people and the issues they're dealing with. The province seems to be dragging their feet on the new regime as far as the producer pay.
Yes, that seems,
Basically what I'm saying, like they're just not being like the government stopped all but putting that bill through. So like that's going to be a problem going forward if that doesn't happen. Your recycle costs are going to go through the roof.
yes, I think they already forecast that, and this is not going to assist us whatsoever. And I think that maybe there was some lobbying that done to certain ministers to prevent this from moving forward. Okay, Councilor Jeffrey.
6.22.
Okay. We'll move that to number 9 under correspondence. Councilor Orr.
Just a quick follow-up on 6.14 about the rec centers.
Okay. And okay, not seeing anything else. So I have a motion somewhere here that the consent agenda items 6.1 to 6.37, with the exception of 6.14 and 6.22, be received as information, and that the regular council minutes of March 16, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councilor Jeffrey, second by Deputy Mayor Aitchison. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, we'll move on to public meetings, hearings, and delegations. And I see Jackie there. And oh, Sean's there too beside. Okay, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
So is Sean gonna take the lead on this? Okay, Jackie's nodding her head.
Okay, we will start out with the St. Paul's annual summary report for the 2020 reporting year. Fairly quiet in St. Paul's. There were no non-compliance issues as I identified in previous reports with 100% inspection rate from the MECP. There was 0 incidents of adverse water quality as well as 0 spill incidents. So in terms of flows, our monthly average flows were fairly consistent from 2019. In terms of the total cubic meters was 6,882 for the year. So that is fairly normal. So that is the summary of the annual report. So diving into the full annual report, all of our inorganic parameters, we're actually completing them this year. The last time they were done were 2016. So they were all well below their maximum allowable concentration, except for sodium, which is the last result was in 2017. It was 23.8 and 24.7. So that is naturally occurring as well in the Severnville drinking water system. And our fluoride is just below the maximum allowable concentration, and that is also naturally occurring within the groundwater system. So that is it for the annual report for St. Paul's, if anyone has any questions. If not, I can go ahead into the Severnville drinking water system annual report.
Yeah, I don't see any hands up, so go ahead, Sean, with Severnville.
Okay. So the summary report for Severnville drinking water system, or Black Creek Estates as it's also referred to. We only had one major incident, which was a low pressure in May 25th, 2020, where we had a high chlorine alarm and a low pressure alarm due to the excessive water use due to the, I guess, low precipitation and people using excessive water for watering their lawns, etc. So that was our only major incident. It was reported to the health, the Huron-Perth Public Health, and we were requested to sample, and we sampled and everything was fine. So that's pretty much it for any adverse water quality incidents kind of for the reporting year. There were 0 spill incidents reported in 2020, and we also had 100% inspection rate from the Ministry of Environment. So in terms of water use, it's fairly high compared to St. Paul's. The total consumption was 11,787 cubic meters. So yes, it's much higher than St. Paul's, a few more sprinkler systems and pools, etc. So, and that's it for the summary. In terms of the actual annual report, the full report, it was also a fairly quiet year like St. Paul's, as I spoke about the low pressure incident on May 25th, but in terms of inorganic parameters, the last time it was tested was in 2016. It's going to be tested this year in accordance with regulations. So, but we anticipate they will be, all the inorganics will be low, with the exception of sodium and fluoride, which are naturally occurring. So they are above the maximum allowable concentration. So that is it for the annual reports, if anyone has any questions.
Deputy Mayor Aitchison.
You mentioned in May the low pressure in the Black Creek system, and that was because use maybe lawn watering, etc. So why did that happen then and not in July when your usage was actually the highest?
Well, we did a few different things. We put in a new dehumidifier, which we're thinking that maybe prevented the quart sleeves and the UVs from creating excessive condensate and then kind of giving us a false reading in our UV systems that cause them to close automatically with solenoid valves. So we think that may have been a little bit, that could have alleviated some of the issues. But I'm not entirely sure why in July and in June we didn't have the same sort of issues. It could have been that the water consumption was kind of spread out over the day, just looking at the trending. But it was one of those things that it was hard to tell the real reason that it happened in May.
Okay, Council Martin, I think you had your hand up.
I do, yes, thank you. Sean, so I have a question about the fluoride in Sebringville. So with it being so high, are we reporting that? Does that go to the health unit and it goes out to families? Because you wouldn't want fluoridosis for the kids that are 6 and under. They shouldn't really be drinking that water, right? So
Yes.
can you sort of fill us in on that?
Yeah, so it is put out in the water bills monthly. I guess Ken Bettles could touch on that, but it is put out in the monthly, I guess, hydro or water bills, I believe.
Okay. Thank you. The other question is, I wonder, are we concerned about pool filling this year? I know the Sebringville residents used to truck in water, and I believe last year, a lot of them filled their pools off the system. Are we doing anything to sort of make sure that doesn't happen this year? Or are we concerned about water levels?
Yeah, well, there was notices put out last year to refresh everybody on the water use bylaw. So that was handed out to everybody last year. After we handed out the notices, we had we actually observed several people having water tankers come to fill their pool. So I feel like it was a good refreshment on people's knowledge of the water use bylaw. So I feel that hopefully this year we will have the same kind of outcome. It's hard to know when people are filling their pools with the system until it's actually happening and we see it on our data logger and our trending where we see large spikes. But in terms of identifying which residents are doing it, it's very hard to identify them. So we can hope for the best.
Thank you.
Further questions?
If I can just clarify, Mayor Wilhelm.
Yes,
The notice for the fluoride exceedance does go out. It's not a monthly bill, but it does go out on the water bills to the users of that system.
okay, thank you. All right, seeing no further hands up or questions, thanks Sean and Jackie for a very good report, and hopefully sometime this year we'll be able to meet in person. So you have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I still have the first quarter operational reports to
okay.
go through as well. Sorry, I kind of paused in between just to see if there's any questions on the annual report. So if I could just, I'll start with the St. Paul's drinking water system first quarter operational report. In terms of the first quarter, so we did do our sampling for fluoride. So this is January 11th. There was a laboratory error, which made us think that St. Paul's had a exceedance in fluoride when it was actually for Sebringville. So we resampled, and when we sent in the samples, they realized that the lab that there was an error. So we actually received a non-conformance report from SGS Laboratories letting us know that the levels in St. Paul's were actually below the maximum allowable concentration, and it was actually for the Sebringville drinking water system. So St. Paul's is below I think the result was 1.35, and the maximum allowable concentration is 1.5 milligrams per liter. So it was below the threshold. So in terms of occupational health and safety, we've just continued doing our COVID-19 protocols with additional PPE, staff reorganization, make sure that there's not 2 or more people together in the same vehicles going out to the systems, And we're also using the Perth South COVID screening system whenever we go into the well houses. So in terms of general maintenance, we replaced the membrane cap on the chlorine analyzer probe, as well as changing the electrolyte. The probe was put back into service with no other issues. And then we also were on site January 19th, where we found a leak in the raw water pipe. We replaced it with a piece of piping and a new ball valve, and followed the MECP water main disinfection procedure during the repair. And so we also had to do associated sampling with that. And then on February 24th, we had operational staff in our Ontario Clean Waters SCADA group. They're on site to install a new, it's called a business transformation program panel at the well house. So this panel gives us remote monitoring to operational staff, so we can watch the facility's chlorine residuals, flows and pressures throughout the day without actually being on site. So it's a big advantage. And also it collects data and puts it into our data collection system as well. So it's a really good and efficient system. So so there were no alarms in the first quarter at St. Paul's drinking water system, so that is good. And then if I can just scroll down to the Appendix B flow report, fairly normal flow for the first quarter for the winter weather. Everyone seems to use a fairly stable amount of water. So that is it for the St. Paul's drinking water system. And I will go over to the Sebringville drinking water system now. So as I mentioned before, first quarter, we had an exceedance in fluoride for the routine sampling. We resampled on January 14th, and it also exceeded the maximum allowable concentration. As I noted before, it's naturally occurring, as we've seen in previous years of sampling. In terms of first quarter maintenance, we replaced the membrane cap on the chlorine analyzer probe for routine preventative maintenance. And we put it back into service with no issues. And then also on February 24th and the 25th, we put in our that BTP panel in the Sebringville drinking water system, which will give us the same kind of benefits as in the St. Paul's, where we can have remote monitoring of the drinking water system without actually being out there. And also it can put parameters into our data collection system. So on March 9th, we replaced the discharge valve on the chlorine pump and put it back into service with no issues. And then we, on March 23rd, we were on site to troubleshoot chlorine pump number 2 that had a decline in the pump rate. And as a result, we replaced the diaphragm in one of the chlorine pumps. So we put it back into service and had no further issues. In terms of alarms, in the first quarter, we just had a low chlorine alarm at the well house in Sebringville. Upon arrival, the operational staff replaced an air relief valve on chlorine number 1 and put it back into service. So in terms of flows for an Appendix B at the bottom, for the first quarter, they're fairly stable and consistent flows for the first 3 months of 2021. So that is it for the operational reports. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Sean? Nope, I don't see any. So thank you. And I have a motion that the council receives the 2020 annual and summary reports for Sebringville and St. Paul's municipal drinking water systems for information, and that council receives the 2021 first quarter operational reports for Sebringville and St. Paul's drinking water systems for information. Moved by Councillor Jeffrey, second by Councillor Zuber. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
And we'll move on to consent application for B03-21 Lutens. And I think Adam's going to present that. There you are. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Good morning. The application before us today is for a surplus farm dwelling lot, and I'm going to share screen and just walk council briefly through some maps and air photos to familiarize with the property. Okay, can everybody see the air photo with the lines on the map?
Should be able to.
Yep.
Okay, and everyone can see my cursor roaming around the screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So the subject lands are located at the southeast corner of Perth Road 151 and line 6. A zoom in shows approximately where the severed lot will be located. Over here, this is the Wiseman drain that runs through the northeast corner of the property. It goes under the road and then over here. And there's some agricultural buildings that were on the retained farm parcel shown over here just off screen that actually have been demolished since this picture was taken back in 2015. Right now, the only retained building will be this shed over here. And I'll just show now an actual severance sketch. So this is the lot proposed to be severed. It's got an area of 0.3 hectares, which is just right at 3/4 of an acre. And it's got 116 feet of frontage on line 6. The lot's been kept to a minimum area required to house the driveway, the hydro poles, house, septic, and this metal accessory structure at the back. Staff have reviewed the application against the policies of the official plan and the provincial policy statement. We have no objection to the application, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report. No correspondence was received from the neighbors. The Conservation Authority and Hydro had no concerns. I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? I think it's fairly straightforward. Council Orr? You're still, okay.
Yep, I got it. Just wondering, so on that photo, there's an accessory structure that looks like it's cut in half. Is that now demolished?
So I'll go back to the share screen. I'll go back to the share screen just to make sure we're. So is that this one here, Councillor?
Yes.
Yeah, this building, when I went out and posted, this building was pretty much half demolished.
Okay.
So these buildings are all gone. So there won't be an issue here with a lot line.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, I have a motion that the council of the Township of Perth South receive the report entitled Application for Consent to Sever Surplus Farm Dwelling Number B03-21 by Luton Farms Limited, affecting lands described as Lot 14, Concession 7, Blanchard Ward, Township of Perth South, 5439, Line 6, dated Tuesday, April 6, prepared by County Planning Department for information, and that the Council of the Township of Perth South recommends that the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate approve the application for consent to sever surplus farm dwelling number B03-21 made by Luton Farms Limited, subject to the 8 conditions listed in the report. Moved by Deputy Mayor Aitchison, second by Councilor Corbeau. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Adam?
No, just your worship, members of council, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you.
I got a
And you as
quick
well.
question for Adam when he's still here.
Oh, okay.
There was a bunch of signs posted up the road just about 3/4 mile from me. I take it that one's coming shortly? That would be the Dunsmore property?
Yes, actually, I'm just putting the finishing touches on that report and I expect that one to come to the April 20th agenda.
Okay, because I noticed the signs were up and then they disappeared. So when I got my package, I was thinking it might be in this one, but we've seen that Luton's one before. They just made it smaller, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the one I expect to bring to you the 20th is Van Ness.
Yeah, that's Vanessa who bought the Dunsmore 50 acres.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to very busy CBO update. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Wilhelm, members of the council. Yes, we have been very busy for the month of March. There was 19 building permits issued, 29 inspections. The month produced just over 2.6 million in building value and almost 17,000 collected in permit fees. The year to date so far is just over 8.4 million in building values and just over 51,000 collected in permit fees. Compared to this time last year, we are almost 4 times higher than we were in our first quarter last year. We've also been very busy with zoning and planning inquiries, and yeah, we're looking forward to helping everybody. So, bylaw enforcement, there's just one for the month. I noticed somebody was building without a permit, and I'm happy to say now they have a building permit or the benefit of a building permit. No new property standards issues for the month. I would be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Any questions for Martin? Council Martin.
Just a question on workload, Martin. If you're doing 4 times what you usually do, are you okay? Are you keeping up? Do you need some help?
No, we're doing fine. The workload I'm managing fine. We're putting a few more hours in, but it's good. I like it when it's busy.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you.
Council Martin, he just wants a new truck.
Yeah, and I heard he wants a Denali instead of just a regular pickup.
I say we give it to him. Seems like it's
Our
working.
treasurer won't let us.
Oh, Rebecca.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I have a motion that the CBO update report be received for information. Moved by Councillor Jeffrey, second by Councillor Martin. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Martin. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Public Works. Ken.
Thank you. Good morning, Council, Mayor Wilhelm. The first report is the large hot mix paving project tender through Perth County. We joined in with them to help with better pricing, and I think it did help quite a bit. So included in that tender was surface asphalt on the Boundary Road 112, that's shared cost with Perth East, line 15, line 26, and road 122, sections of those roads reconstruction projects, along with the parking lot, the Optimist Hall parking lot expansion and reconstruction. So the total for all those projects in the tender, the low bid tender from Brantco Construction. So our cost is $747,038. So the total tender to the county was 1.645 million. So we were a good portion of that for our work. So we're just asking for council to confirm acceptance of that the county can award the tender to Brantco Construction, the low bidder. For that work, we've had them do work for us last year, Brantco Construction, through the county tender as well, and there was no problems with the quality, seemed to be very good. And so I have no concerns, so we're just recommending that the council confirm the award.
Okay, thanks. Ken, any questions from council?
Question.
Councillor Zubrick.
So we are a fair bit under what we planned for that, right? Budget wise. So like, should we look at paving more roads? I'm just getting excited about, you know, other roads that we could manage and being under budget.
You remind me of my wife.
Planting that seed of 33, I don't want you to forget where I live. It's a busy road now with the development in St. Mary's, honestly. So anyway, we might need to have those conversations. Good job though.
Rebecca and I heard line 2 was ahead of your road for paving.
Your gravel trucks will rip that up in an instant.
Rebecca,
So the total amount of the contracted services that we've included here is obviously significantly a lot less than what our annual budget was. Ken has identified that there are some additional costs that would have to be incurred, but again, that still leaves us quite a bit below budget. Engineering costs are going to have to be incurred as well. I don't think those are included. So the amount of the surplus would be reduced a bit by those amounts. In terms of paving other roads or taking on other projects, I'll defer that question for Ken.
well, we'll let Ken answer and then Council Corbu.
Yeah, if council wishes, there is some roads in the area that could use the second lift of asphalt. So if council wishes, I could do some investigating and see if we can get some of the pricing carried forward to put some surface asphalt on a few roads in the vicinity, if that's what council wishes.
I see a number nodding their head, so perhaps you can bring forward a report where we could put on a second lift and utilize those funds that are in the budget. So, Council Corbu.
Ken just answered my question.
Deputy Mayor Aitson.
So in that contract, that worked out to a little over 71 and change a ton for the asphalt in place. And that was down from our first 2 tenders at the county. There's one thing you have to be cognizant of. There is an AC index built into that pricing. So if your AC takes a big jump between now and when they get that done, that will not be your final cost. It will be a bit higher, but that is a really good price to start with. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yes. Rebecca.
And I do want to comment that the Downey Optimus Hall parking lot was included in there. The budgeted amount was $95,000, and I believe there's around $20,000 in savings there, which would be transferred to the rest of the construction project that's going on there. And it would certainly enable us to make sure we're able to get all the work done that we wanted to get done there.
Councillor Jeffrey.
Thinking on this, how many dollars is below our budget, and how much would that pave? How many kilometers or whatever, half a kilometer or what?
Rough idea, Ken?
Very approximate. I'm thinking we might be getting close to being able to pave 2 blocks of surface asphalt, country blocks. Yeah.
Second left, you're talking.
Correct. Yes.
I think we should investigate it at least.
Yes, so Ken's going to bring a report hopefully for next meeting, and we can look at that, and that's certainly worthwhile. Okay, seeing no further questions or comments, I have a motion that the Township of Perth South confirm acceptance of the tender award by Perth County for Perth South Boundary Road 112, Perth South Line 15, Perth South Line 26, Perth South Road 122, and the Downey Optimus Hall parking lot expansion, reconstruction, and paving projects to Brantco Construction, having a cost to Perth South in the amount of $747,038.50 plus HST. Moved by Councillor Corbu, second by Councillor Zubrick. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Ken, John Deere rental.
Thank you. The next report is just our annual, I called and got sent out and got quotes for rental tractors for the upcoming roadside mowing season. Got 3 quotes back and recommending that we go with the lowest one from Total Rentals. We have got a tractor from them in the past with no issues, and the price still very good for that unit.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I have a motion that the council approves the rental of a John Deere 5090E from Total Rentals at the cost of $6,000 plus taxes. Moved by Councillor Jeffrey, second by Deputy Mayor Aitchison. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Ken?
One thing I didn't see in the package, we did get a decision from the Conservation Authority on the Mills Award or Mills Drain hearing.
Yes, it was in the correspondence, but if you want to touch on that, go ahead.
Yeah, just that we did get a decision with some conditions, I guess, but that we could proceed with the project. I think there might be one landowner who's not in favor, but the majority, I think, are happy with the decision. So I know Brandon has got to resubmit the project for the Conservation Authority's approval, but I think there's enough detail in the decision that it should be able to go through.
Yes, and that's good to finally get that drawing to an end. Councillor Jeffrey.
Ken, how long is the pipe, or how many meters from line or road line 29 going south? That was the open drain was so opposed to the conservation, but how many meters of pipe now is the length of that going to be to the outlet?
I don't remember the number, but I can get that information for you. It's probably the best.
But I was wondering how many meters from Reg Matheson's line fence is the outlet? You follow me?
So how much open?
Yeah, how much open drain will there be?
Open drain will there be?
Yes.
I think the open drain portion follows the fence line between two farms back to the outlet at the, I think it was 600 meters, roughly. That's very rough, though. I don't have it in front of me, so.
If that is so, I can see why Mr. Colford is not happy. It should be lower, but maybe we should be happy with what we got of a closed drain.
Yeah, I think that the downstream landowner, there's one who has it between the two properties. They're not getting the benefit of an enclosure that they were hoping for originally. Yes.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Ken?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on, and I have a motion that council approves accounts payable listing from March 2nd to March 10th, 2021 in the amount of $14,250.82. Motion to put it on the floor. Councillor Orr and Councillor Martin. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And I have a motion that council approves the accounts payable listing dated April 1st, 2021 from March 15th to April 1st, 2021 in the amount of $87,438.55. Motion to put it on the floor, moved by Councillor Corby, second by Councillor Orr. Any questions, comments? Councillor Jeffrey.
I see, was there a municipal drain repair, a total of $14,500 X? What drain was that? That's quite a bit of repair. I was just wondering on a municipal drain.
Rebecca?
It looks as though the 14,000 is made up of two amounts. It looks like maybe the Douglas and the stone drain, but we can get more specific information. I wouldn't know unless I look at the invoice, unless Ken has that information.
I could tell you what the Douglas one is. That was a clean out. And that started down by old number 7 school and ended up behind Keith and Joanne Ennis's. That was just a regular clean out. The Howard Cook, the repairs, I'm not sure what that one is.
It looks like it's drainage stone.
Yeah, it wouldn't be with the Douglas drain. It would be a different drain, but I know that's what the Douglas drain is.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, well, maybe you can check Rebecca and let us know. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, with that, cannabis, Rebecca.
Thank you, Mayor Wilhelm. We have recently received notice that we've received an additional payment from the Ontario Cannabis Legalization Implementation Fund. Previously, we had received 3 different installment payments totaling $15,000, and those were received in 2019. This final payment was not guaranteed, unlike the other payments that we received, which were based on an allocation of households. This was the amount that the government was providing to municipalities to deal with the costs that they may incur associated with the legalization of cannabis. This last final payment was based on whether or not the Ontario government would receive in excess of $100 million for the federal excess tax on the recreational cannabis sold. They did indeed generate a surplus of almost $8 million, and so 50% of that was shared. The minimum payment is $5,000, and again, we received that amount. So we now have a total of $20,000, and this will be the final payment that we will receive. So I have been working with the Stratford Police Chief and looking at ways to allocate this funding. We have had numerous discussions about it, primarily prior to COVID, and the COVID pandemic has definitely delayed the implementation or investigation of ways in which to spend this, but it is something that we will continue to discuss later this year. And following up with the police chief, he's hopeful that we'll be able to make a decision on this before the end of the year. So I'll be bringing back additional information to council to advise them on options for spending this money, but I just wanted you to be aware that these additional funds have been received and the total amount that we will have available for spending in the future. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Rebecca on that? Councillor Jeffrey.
With the increased use of drug use, whatever, is our Stratford Police, are they using up a lot of their, or some of their time looking after these cases that maybe that we're not aware of? Man hours, etc.
Yeah, I think that you can definitely see an uptick in maybe some of the cannabis, like the impaired cannabis charges, like for driving. And I think you can see that in our police stats. But I would say overall, like certainly that they are spending some time certainly dealing with cannabis as they, along with everything else. But I wouldn't say, I'm not exactly sure how much.
Would that not fall into that category of using that money?
It would, yes. So a lot of municipalities have simply just transferred this money over to their police budget to reduce their annual operating budget for the cost of police, with the underlying theory that, yes, a portion of the police response is related to cannabis response. But if you step back and you take a look at what we're allowed to spend it on and the purpose of the funds, it really is intended to educate the public, and it's more of a direct response. So I'm hesitant to use this one-time funding to temporarily reduce our operating budget, because then it's just you're gonna have to have a bigger levy increase later to make that up. I think that some of the options proposed by the police chief in regards to educating youth about cannabis, educating new drivers about cannabis in response to the increase in cases of impaired driving, would maybe be a preferred area to spend it on. And also with the community safety and wellness plan coming out, that there's probably aspects in there that we can use these funds to help implement programs that have been identified through that plan.
Is not a lot of theft in our area caused from lack of funds to buy their cannabis. And you can tell who gets out of jail. Like when you get off on the side and talk to some of the officers, they know when some people are have got out of detention centers, etc., how the theft, etc., increases. But that's I think a percentage probably could be used towards that. But anyway, we'll go from carry on.
So my intention is to bring forward a number of options for council to consider in determining where they think that these funds would be best utilized. And I'll be working with the police chief to help identify those programs.
Thanks.
Further questions? Seeing none, I have a motion that the report on Ontario cannabis legislation or legalization, implementation fund OCLIF dated April 6, 2021 be received for information. Moved by Councilor Martin, second by Councilor Corby. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Rebecca? You have.
I was going to mention information in regards to the gas tax. So the federal government has announced that they'll be doubling up the payment again. This is something that they have done in the past. So an additional payment of $120,835 will be received following budget approval. So as long as they approve their plans. I had initially thought that I would make a recommendation to council that we transfer these additional funds into our roads reserve for use in the following year. We do have a number of construction projects next year that make our capital budget much larger than it normally would be. However, given the discussions we had on the previous item in regards to spending the additional surplus money on some maybe new paving, maybe we'll wait and see what that looks like before we make a decision. But for now, just be aware that that is some additional funding that will be coming for roads and bridges in our area.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion on that. Okay. All right, and that's always good news. Anything else, Rebecca?
I just wanted to let council know that I've been working with the auditors. Very happy that the auditors were actually in the office last week, and we were able to get done a significant portion of the budget. I would say it's probably about 90% done now. I'm just looking to finalize that, and our annual financial information return to the province has also been started. So we should see both of those done before the end of the month. So that's exciting news from the treasurer.
Yes. Way ahead of schedule.
Hey.
Very good. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll move on to correspondence. And I think Councillor Orr would like to discuss 6.14 or an update on 6.14. Councillor Orr.
Yeah, that one is just the open letter to the Ontario recreation facilities. I just wanted to make sure that that information gets to the Kirkton Pool Committee. Is that something, like, I don't think we all have to rethink the wheel on how we're going to open stuff up. So I just wanted to make sure that they have access to that. information.
We'll ask Lizette to be sure to forward that to them, and then they'll have a copy as well.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And then 6.22, I believe, was Councillor Jeffrey, I believe.
I was just wondering if we maybe should support this, Norfolk counties, for agriculture, carbon tax relief for agriculture. Agriculture sequesters a lot of carbon, and it seems like for nothing. They're not recognized, and so I believe that Norfolk County have a valid motion to send forth towards the Treasurer of Ontario that agriculture be exempted from carbon tax. Would that be possible to support that?
Oh, let's see what the rest of council thinks. No one's saying, oh, Deputy Mayor Aitchison.
Did we not do that at the last meeting, or am I wrong? Or was that at the county council meeting we did that?
May have been in county council. I don't think it was this.
Maybe it was county we did. I know we supported it someplace.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd be in favor of supporting that.
Okay. Let's have a show of hands of those that would be in favor of supporting it. Looks like everyone, so we'll ask Lizette to prepare a letter of support with that. And thanks very much, Councillor Jeffrey. With that, we'll move on to Mayor and Council members' reports. So we'll start out with Councillor Jeffrey.
I just have a few questions here about the county update that we got in our packet here. It said the climate change coordinator. What is the job description of that job?
Well, I think that if you want their job description, we'll have to get the North Perth clerk to send you a copy of that.
Have I seen it? Have we seen it?
We've seen a lot over the last couple of years on the climate change coordinator. I don't know if we've actually seen the job description, but.
And so what is the cost to the county or Perth South, and what is the benefits? I'm just asking, if we're spending this and have a job, well, then, like, what is it doing, or what benefit is it? People are asking.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Aitchison had his hand up, and then we'll go to Rebecca.
As far as the job description and whatnot, what we're getting out of it, Ken, I think, is on the subcommittee or whatever, so he may be able to get us that information. You not on that, Ken? Well, there was an advisory committee or something on that should be able to get you the information. We actually, as a council, yet haven't seen the report. I think maybe perhaps our CAO has got one, but there's lots of people interested in this, seeing this move forward, I'll tell you that, judging by the emails I got.
Okay. Rebecca.
I do have a copy of the job description, and I can circulate that with council.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I am part of the committee that's working on this report. I do have a report that's a draft report that we're working on getting to council. It was decided that because there is the change in staff, we're just going to wait until the new individual is hired. And I am one of a group of people who will be interviewing the new climate change coordinator later this week. So helping to fill that position. So.
I think another question Councillor Jeffrey had was, what is the cost to Perth South? Do you have that off the top of your head, Rebecca?
I know we recently talked about it, and I can't off the top of my head remember. We put it in the budget, so I have that here.
Wasn't that around $70-some $100? We just approved that.
Yeah.
In the last 2 months.
I think so, somewhere around 8,000.
Yeah, I was thinking around 8,000. So.
Thanks for refreshing my memory.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll move on to, or you have another question? Sorry.
Yes, it does. Also, in the county's update there on page 56, I seen about, you're back at the official plan. And something in there just caught my attention big time. The planners want to use, or it looks like they want to use some of the natural heritage system study in the official plan. And as I have extensively studied that natural heritage system study, they want to change farmland into designated heritage lands, or in the final analysis, it's indigenous wildlife species habitat. So as I wonder, I hope that we don't paint this with a paintbrush, and I believe it should go by property to property. If you're going to change farmland into heritage lands, you can't, in a town or in a city, you can't do that just with a paintbrush. The property owner, the heritage committee, and the council has to be involved. And so I don't know why our county planners have it in their mind that it's nothing to change farmland, zone farmland into heritage land. But financially, that not only affects the property owner, it affects our municipality of Perth South. 93% of our revenue comes from assessment from farmland. And if we want to give away farmland to heritage, which is next thing to nothing as assessment, that's bad business. But how can I as a councillor sit quiet and let farmers lose farmland at today's prices? So I just noticed that in there, and that really caught my attention. So going forward, I hope the county council is well aware of what is going on behind the scenes in getting this official plan reviewed. I see where they want to use committees, etc. But unless there's some people on these committees that are well acquainted with what these heritage lands consist of, we're not going to be in a good spot in 10 years.
I think the new planning department is starting to get back to bringing forward a new official plan. So I'm not sure where all this is, but I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Aitchison if he can update us on what the plan is there.
Well, yeah, they're back at it finally with all the changes that have gone on in planning. So basically the verbiage you're reading in that report, Bill, is no different than it was 2 years ago. Nothing's really changed. We have had meetings on all the restrictions, et cetera, et cetera. Some have got tossed to the curb already. So anything that comes out of this official plan, you're still going to have to go to full public meetings. That can't just be done without all kinds of public consultation and public meetings, which is going to be a little trickier with COVID. Hopefully it'll get back to normal. But there will be all kinds of ample opportunity for you to have your input into that before it's all said and done. I'm sure, because I know lots of people have the same mindset as you do. Whatever they come up with is not cut in stone, I guess is my point. Like, there will be consultation, there will be changes. And I've got the same comments made to me, as far as setbacks and different things. So, are you going to compensate me for that? Well, nobody's going to compensate anybody. So some of these things are going to have to be altered, but it's just going to try to find the happy medium, I guess.
Thanks. So I just let you know that I notice, I see what's going on.
Well, you aren't the only one.
Appreciate that, Councilor Jeffrey. All right, we'll move on to Deputy Mayor Aitchison.
Better unmute again. A couple quick things. Mobility bus is still moving along. We're actually down a driver at the moment, but it's not COVID related, so don't worry about that. Training session for Thursday, that is not mandatory, but anyone who wants to attend can, and that's on code of conduct and ethics, and that starts at 9 o'clock. And the reason that Perth South's involved with the county is we have the same integrity commissioner. So that's the only reason it's going to be Perth South and Perth County. And I was on a conference call, and this is more for Rebecca and staff, a couple Fridays ago with Western Ontario Wardens, and Seth from municipal office and wherever he's out, it was on that call. And the one thing we talked about was they are reviewing the OMPF funding. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that. So they're doing consultations, and I believe they've already started. And they're trying to figure out if that meets our needs more so rural and northern communities. So I'm thinking if we ever got one last kick at the cat to try to improve that, that's going to be now. And we also talked about infrastructure money. So the Optimus Hall renovation was an OSIP grant, but they are coming out with more money for only small and rural and, of course, northern communities. Chances of us getting approved a second time is remote, but, you know, I guess you won't get approved if you don't apply. And the last thing they talked about was Bill 245 in the Land Tribunal. And apparently we're supposed to keep an eye on this as it goes through legislature, but I haven't just been able to find anything on it here just lately. And other than that, it's been relatively quiet over the Easter in the last week or two.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Corby.
All is good. I couldn't make the KW meeting, so Bob and Sue, I think, went, and they can talk a little more on that if they want. And I was going to mention to Ken on Road 130, right at the bridge at the end of line 11, in the wintertime, a big willow tree went across the road, and one of the neighbors cut it up and just pushed it off the side. Plus, there was an accident there where a truck hit a telephone pole in midair and went into McIntosh's into the river on their property. But I find it odd that the Hydro One would show up, replace the pole, and leave the broken pieces of pole in the ditch. I just don't know whose responsibility that is, but it's a Perth County road, but it's odd that some of that stuff would just be left and not attended to. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Zubrik.
Nothing real pressing. Library board got pushed to this Thursday because of the Easter holiday last week. So other than that, no, pretty quiet.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Orr.
Actually, it was kind of busy. I did take part in that Mills Drain. That was quite an education. Just a small note, Spreet Associates celebrates 60 years in business. I wondered if you guys ever, or we as a township ever sent a letter of congratulations or anything like that, acknowledging it. I'm not sure. Brandon really went over and above for us. So I did appreciate what he did with the Mills Drain. Yes, I did participate in the Kirkton Community Center event with, well, it was not an event, but with Bob. Also, I just feel that that committee is probably feeling like the pool committee is, and they really want to have their agreement talked about with all three parties. It was an interesting meeting, and I appreciate that Bob was there. And I hope that we're going to have a committee meeting with all parties present and go from there. They were open, but now I'm assuming that they can't open due to COVID for the next month. I'll let Bob speak to that, but I also just wanted to point out I did the land use planning course. And then there was a Zoom meeting with the Perth East Fire Department, and they are going to change the call center. It will cost us a bit more money in 2022, but we are moving our system to Owen Sound. So be prepared for a little bit of an increase. Won't affect the 2021 budget, but will affect the 2022 budget. Bob, did you want to speak about the Kirkton Pool or no, Kirkton Community Center?
Yes, I'll thank you. I'll let Councilor Martin speak and then I'll bring up the rear.
Yeah, see,
Councilor
Thanks so
Martin.
much. Thanks. The only calls I had were in regards to the recent annexation of Stratford and whether that property was coming back to Perth South. I'm just wondering, Rebecca, if you can tell me where we're on that report that you're working on.
I'm planning to bring back a report for the next council meeting with all of those details.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bob,
Yes.
just further to Jamie's question. So have they started the consultation process on that? Rebecca, do you know?
I had a conversation with Stratford and I don't believe that the consultation process has begun yet. We have not received notice. There'll be an advertisement in the newspaper and I would think that they would circulate us that in advance so that we are aware of it. And but as of late last week, we had not heard anything from the province in regards to that.
Yes, I haven't gotten any notice either, so I guess we'll just wait and see. But yes, and as Councilor Orr said, we did attend the KW Board's annual meeting, and that's always entertaining. And it was pointed out at that time to Councilor Oak that their council and mayor did not want to meet with Perth South and the committees until the fall. And I'm not sure, I guess he's recreation director or something, he's new, Scott, and he certainly seems very cooperative and wants to work with you. And so after that meeting, I received a call from Mayor Finch, and he was not aware of any issues with any of the committees and thought that a meeting in the fall would work. So I ended up letting people know that Perth South was going to have a meeting with the KW Pool and the board if they wanted to attend, and that we would invite South Huron staff and council and mayor to attend if they liked. But since then, Scott has committed to sending a doodle poll around for everyone to get together and meet and express concerns. So I think that's pointed out before the end of April. Lizette's been talking with Scott or communicating with him, so maybe she can update us on that. Oh, Rebecca has. Okay, okay. So maybe Rebecca can update us on that.
Yeah, I had written a letter to the pool committee in response to their letter that we had received expressing our interest in meeting. And I also wrote to the CAO in South Huron expressing our interest in meeting and asking their council to reconsider and allow for a joint meeting to occur in the spring. Even though there are a number of big issues that maybe we don't have to deal with everything all at once. We can certainly discuss the pool opening now and then defer some of the bigger agreement discussions until the fall. And I was speaking with Scott Curry, and he had indicated he was setting a doodle poll around in order to set up a mutual date for discussions to occur at the pool. So I haven't received anything yet, so I'll follow up again with him, but I was hoping to have already had that circulated.
Okay, that's great. So we'll wait and see, and everyone will be advised what date if you don't get a request on the doodle poll. I think it's important that we all attend and everyone gets to hear concerns, and it was, I think, highlighted when it was pointed out that South Huron staff put a new filtration system in the hall without any discussion with the board or staff or any even the caretaker was not aware that that was happening. And there was not concern that it happened. It was concern that the way it happened, and that it was pointed out that that filtration system that they replaced was an issue back in August of 2019, and yet they seem to say that it was imperative that it got changed immediately. And so I think that was mainly with the change of staff up there. It somehow must have gotten forgotten or missed or something. Are you aware of that at all, Ken, that what kind of transpired there between August 2019 and now that that never got changed?
I kind of know about as much as council does, that it just got changed. I remember asking before as a follow-up from their concerns before they had concerns at the hall and at the pool. And then I knew they were going to hopefully replace it at some point, but and now I don't know if they've done it, but they were talking about locking it in a room that's only accessible as well. I don't know if that room has got built yet or not.
Yes, apparently the room's been built, and you're right, they're gonna lock it, but at the meeting it was pointed out that if this water system goes down, the staff there and board members don't know who to contact or anything. So there's quite a communication issue that we pointed out. So hopefully if we have a meeting with all involved, we can iron some of those details out and get better communications, and everyone will feel better going forward and have a clear understanding of who does what. So other than that, things have been fairly quiet. And with that, we have no bylaws, no announcements. Do we have any notice of motions? Okay, no other business. No public attending, so no public question period. And next I have a bylaw 18-2021, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution of the Township of Perth South, be given first, second, and third readings and be properly signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Corby, second by Deputy Mayor Aitchison. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And I have a motion that the meeting does hereby adjourn at 10:45 a.m. Moved by Councillor Orr, second by Councillor Martin. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Well, have a great day, and glad everyone could attend. And congratulations, Sam.
Yes, yes. It comes from good stock. Yeah, no, it was really good. Yeah, thank you.
Grandma will be happy.
Oh yeah, she's happy. She can't wait to get out there.
Yes, good.
He hasn't booked a flight yet?
Yeah, in late May. She came a month early.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Actually, BC's got some issues out there now with COVID too. I think they've got travel restrictions in place.
Yeah, it's getting worse out there.
And they have the Brazilian variant.
Yeah, we'll have to see when we get closer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys
So
you
much
guys
for
have
the
a good
lockdown.
day.
You know, we've all supposed to be in lockdown. Did anybody see any pictures on MSN in the last couple of days? Yorkdale Shopping Mall on Saturday looked like Boxing Day special.
Yeah.
And all the beaches in Toronto were so packed with people, you could barely move.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe it's time to build a wall instead of putting it down
Yeah.
south of us. They should build a wall around Toronto, and then we'll be better off for it. Because this is going nowhere fast if that's what people are going to do. We're going to be locked down for ages.
Yeah.
And we have hardly any cases.
Yeah, we were going to go green last Friday.
Yeah. It's not fair to the small businesses. It's not fair.
That's maybe not fair, but if you leave your small business open here, Bill, then all your people from Toronto are just going to come and bring all the variants to you. So, you know,
I know.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I agree with your wall or your fence.
Anyway, everybody have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Take care.
Yep. See you, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Bye.